What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. It's team selection time ahead of game week 10. So as always, I'm going to take you through transfers, captaincy thoughts. I've still got 2 free transfers, and I think there's some big moves to be made this week. And also going to go through how I did in game week 9. Wasn't great, but hopefully we can build on that going into game week 10. If you're enjoying this series, if you're enjoying these videos, please do give them a like. The support really helps the channel, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Otherwise, before I jump into game week 9, let's talk about OneFootball. So OneFootball are back once again, kindly sponsoring today's team selection video ahead of game week 10. At this point, you know what it's all about, right? You download the app, it's completely free. You've got your team news, your lineup news, all your football stats, league tables, everything you need as an FPL manager, including goal alerts at the weekend as well. They have been a massive support to the channel. And if you wanted to support me, if you want to support Let's Talk FPL, what we're doing here on this channel, please do consider giving it a download. That will really help me out. And it doesn't cost you a penny, right? I'm not asking you to sign up to anything. Just use the link in the description below. When you're on your Android or iOS device, that'll take you straight through to the store to download it and give it a go and see what you think. It's completely free, and like I said, it would really help me out, really help the channel out, and hopefully we can have OneFootball around for a long time to come. So yeah, give it a go. Link in the description below. Let's get on with it. So let's start with game week 9, right? 50 points, pretty terrible, not happy with it at all. And I checked, after game week 7, I was like 308k or something like that. And then in game week 8, I got up to 184k. So after last week, 184k, I was really happy with that, really wanted to push on. And I basically lost it all, plus a little bit more going into this week. So after game week 9, I'm now down to 323k. Interestingly, I checked that rank out. I think I'm only 24 points from a top 100k place. So it's not that far away, really. But I'm also only 32 points away from the top 1 million. So that's how close it is. 24 points. If I gain that on the top 100k, bam, I'm top 100k all of a sudden. Pretty happy with that at this stage of the season. If I have another couple of, maybe even 1 or 2 bad weeks, I'm outside the top million. So it's really close at the moment. There must be a lot of active managers. 555 points overall. Really, it came down to captaincy. It just didn't work out for me. I still don't think Rashford was a bad choice, but I knew that Bruno Fernandes was the best choice, right? The deadline stream on Saturday, I literally spent 45 minutes answering questions about captaincy, and it was always, I've got this player, Bruno, this player. Right, it has to be Bruno. If you ask me who to captain this week, and you've got Bruno as an option, he is the only one to pick, right? He comes away with 11 points, gets a penalty, 3 bonus points. Could have potentially been more, but I think 11 points was perfectly fine for a captaincy for Bruno, especially when you factor in penalties and stuff like that. So that was decent. I could have brought him in. I could have brought him in instead of Kevin De Bruyne. I did Salah to De Bruyne and basically rolled my other free transfer. That was more of a long-term play because I was hoping that Rashford would get something out of the game. Not necessarily match Fernandes, but get close. And then De Bruyne was someone that I wanted to bring in anyway. So I basically advanced that transfer instead, and hoping that, not hoping necessarily, kind of betting on the fact that Salah might miss another game. It turns out that might not happen, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But that's why I made that move. I was going to, or not going to, but I thought about bringing in Fernandes for Son. So that would have given me 1 extra point, but I would have captained him, so it would have been more points in general. And to fund that, I might have done Kane to Vardy, so that wouldn't have worked out either. So realistically, when you factor in the hit, taking out Son, taking out Kane as well, I probably would have only been 6 or 7 points up, which is nothing to be sniffing at, but it's not the end of the world. So I don't think I made a massively bad decision, but I have kind of learned that maybe it is worth having, if you think there's a best captain every week, make sure you've got them in your team, which I'm going to talk about in a minute when we go to next week. Otherwise, the Brighton Villa game couldn't have got any worse for me, really. Martinez in goal, 1 point. Lamptey wiped that out with the red cards. That's 0 points. Grealish got me 1. And Morpay actually outscored all of them. He got the same points as Martinez, Lamptey and Grealish together. So there you go. And look, people can go on and on about getting rid of Morpay, but at the end of the day, if I said to you all last week, who would I get rid of him for? You would have all said Watkins, and Watkins got 2 points as well. So in the end, I've saved myself a free transfer. I can maybe reassess and make a different transfer this week if I want to. Calvert-Lewin, absolute legend. Look, Kane got a return, but he only got 4 points. No double-digit hauls now for 4 game weeks, right? So all the explosiveness, yes, it has happened, but not for the last 4 weeks. And he's played some pretty weak teams in those times as well. I'm not saying Man City is weak, of course. And Son coming away with a goal and the bonus points as well. So that was decent return. And Dallas was probably one of my favourites against Arsenal. I actually felt quite comfortable playing him against Arsenal, knowing how blunt the attack has been there in recent times. And he could have come away with more. He got a yellow card. If he didn't have that, he would have probably got some bonus points. He was so close to attacking returns as well. So that was a bit of a frustrating one. 50 points is not great, but we're going to put that right for Game Week 10. Okay, so before I start talking about Game Week 10, I just wanted to ask for some feedback, right? I've said this in the last few videos. Usually I do defenders, midfielders and forwards, and I do them one by one and talk about them. In the last few videos I've been talking about the team as a whole and then doing a little bit of tinkering like on the main FPL page. So I wanted to basically want you guys to let me know when you've watched the video, leave me a comment below and let me know what you think of that kind of format rather than just talking through the teams. Again, I'm not necessarily going to do it every week, but in weeks like this, where it's not that my transfer thoughts are all over the place, but there are a few different routes I can take and I want to talk about why. And it's probably just a bit easy to have the whole team up and then do some tinkering to show you how that would work and kind of what my thinking is, right? Why I'm thinking about doing this, what my thoughts are for weeks ahead and stuff like that as well. And hopefully it's easy enough to follow. I think if I do it kind of live while I'm recording, it's probably a bit easier. But let me know, or maybe I'll just go back to the old format. So looking ahead to this week, there's a few areas where I feel there's issues, and there is issues, and there's some that I feel is an issue, right? So Kevin De Bruyne, I'm still happy enough with him, and I'm still happy enough to target Man City, right? Fully appreciate they didn't do that well in terms of results against Spurs. They were attacking. There was a lot of block shots, right? The Spurs defence did block a lot of shots, especially from Kevin De Bruyne, which is a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. They did have the ball in the back of the net, but obviously Jesus handballed it, you know, slightly more to the left or right, and maybe he just wouldn't have controlled it, but ultimately he would have controlled it, and bam, Laporte would have scored, and then who knows, maybe the floodgates would have opened. But Spurs did defend quite well, but that hasn't put me off Man City at all, right? That Burnley game, Burnley are going to defend, Man City are going to be on the edge of the box constantly for the whole game, and again, if they get an early goal, floodgates will open there. It's Fulham and West Brom the next four. You know all that, I've talked about it a million times. So I'm not against Kevin De Bruyne, but he was never really my plan to be captain this week. For me, I think if he's fit, Salah is a better captaincy choice. I think Jamie Vardy is a better captaincy choice as well. So I wouldn't be massively against captaining Kevin De Bruyne, but he's not really at the top of my list. So I see that as a little bit of a problem, not having what I would consider the best captain. Kane and Son, yes, they got more points, but again, Kane's got 24 points in the last 4 weeks, which is not bad at all, right? It's 6 points per game. But the idea is not to have not bad. I want to try and get more than that. And so maybe that's double up on Man City midfield. Maybe that's a double up on Liverpool midfield. And I take Kane out for the next few weeks up until game week 16 because I'm not going to captain him, right? And I don't know how many more times I can go over this. It's not that I think Kane is a bad option or that he's going to stop scoring. I'm just betting that another player will score more. It's as simple as that. You can talk about explosiveness all you want. That happened in a few different games, right? Man United, down to 10 men, ridiculous game. Southampton, high line. Kane got 4 assists. How often is that going to happen, right? And then West Ham, 22 minutes of madness from West Ham. Spurs did play very well, but after that, it was much more even. So that's where the big hauls came for Kane. And don't get me wrong, getting 9 points against West Brom, 1 goal, 3 bonus is absolutely perfect. I'd be happy with that most weeks from a captain. But for the next few weeks, yeah, of course, he'll score goals, right? I'm not expecting him to suddenly stop scoring. He's one of the best strikers to ever play in the Premier League, right? But I'm hoping that other players with better fixtures will score more. So I am thinking about taking him out still. Whether I take Son out will depend on my actual transfers, which I'll talk about in a sec. The other area of concern this week is my defence. So I've got Chilwell and Reguilon playing each other. And Reguilon did get a clean sheet against Man City, but Man City had a lot of shots, and I'm not sure this is the greatest game for him against Chelsea. I wouldn't expect a clean sheet this week either. I'm sure some of you will tell me I'm wrong, but I just wouldn't expect it. If either team are going to score, I can see both teams scoring basically, which is why having Reguilon or Chilwell is a bit of a problem. What I will say is going forward, after this game, Reguilon has Arsenal at home and Crystal Palace away. I think it's in that order. And they're actually 2 games I could see Spurs getting clean sheets in. So while I would prefer to have Cancelo or Diaz just because of the fixtures for Man City, I'm starting to think, do I need to rush him out? Yes, this week is bad. Right? I'm not expecting too many points, and this might be another tread in water week for me. If I get like a small green arrow, that might be a big win given my team. But after this week, I think Arsenal at home and Crystal Palace away probably means I could keep Reguilon a little bit longer if I wanted to. Chilwell obviously stays. Martinez obviously stays. Like, people telling me Chelsea fixtures aren't great coming up. I kind of agree. They're not brilliant. It's why I'm not really too concerned about not having an attacker. But Chilwell stays, right? He's one of the best defenders in FPL right now, alongside probably Robertson and maybe one of the Man City defenders coming up. Dallas is also a problem because, again, in that game, I see both teams scoring. I think both Leeds and Everton will both score. And so Calvert-Lewin, I'm betting on him scoring goals. So Dallas is probably not getting a clean sheet. But as we saw against Arsenal, he can be attacking, right? If Alioski comes in and plays left back, Ayling's right back, Dallas starts moving into midfield. The amount of times I saw him in the box was incredible. And he came very close to scoring if it wasn't for a Leno goal. So I'm not against playing him. And the thing is, I could make a move. But after this week, the defence is kind of okay. I've just talked about Reguilon and Chilwell. I'm happy to play them the next few weeks. Dallas, Leeds have got pretty good fixtures coming up in general. And also Calvin Phillips being back for Leeds is a pretty big win as well. And Lamptey's got good fixtures after the Liverpool game, which he's going to miss through suspension. But I wouldn't have expected any points in that game either. So my defence isn't great this week. But I think for the following kind of 3 or 4 weeks, it's perfectly fine. And I don't have any major issues. I would like Cancelo or Diaz, but as I'll go through my transfers in a minute, I don't know if I've got room to kind of bring them in. Other areas, I'm not really concerned about Jack Grealish. I've seen some people worrying because a lot of his points have come in a few games, but I still think he's looked good. And again, I think him and Villa could have had more points against Brighton. Watkins in particular had some good chances. Kevin De Bruyne I've just spoken about. I think he's okay. Man City I would still back because of the fixtures, but I could see why people are maybe a bit put off. And Rashford was frustrating, right? He had a really good chance in the last game. I think Southampton away and West Ham away are decent, but I wonder if it's between him and Son, which one would I keep? So transfer-wise, if Salah is fit, I'm probably getting him back straight away. Now, for me, it was easy to get rid of him last week because I had 2 free transfers. I've still got them. It's quite easy to get him back. If I kept Salah, I would have bought De Bruyne in this week. So I've not really lost a transfer, to be honest. So I'm probably going to get Salah back. How I do that, I need to fund it. And so this week, Kane is probably going, right? Almost certainly Kane will not be in my team next week. Now, things can change, right? Salah testing positive changed my thoughts last week. But Kane will probably go to fund Salah. Now, I think Jamie Vardy is probably the better pick, but Salah is someone I want long term, and I don't think Salah's so far behind that I'd be worried about captaining him. So what I'd be looking at is something like Kane to Watkins or Bamford, and then Rashford probably going instead of Son, just because of how good Son's been, for Salah, and then maybe I'll take a hit elsewhere. Now, if Salah's not fit, what the ideal is, the Salah's on the bench for the Atlanta game and he comes on and maybe even scores. That would be the ideal, and then Klopp says he's fine for the weekend. But I know that's not necessarily going to happen. So if he's not fit, I might go the Jamie Vardy route and just worry about Salah in game week 12, because I think once I don't have him for Brighton, I don't need him for Wolves either. So that's kind of my plan. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you my kind of thought process of which players I'm going to bring in. And I'm also probably going to take a hit. I'm probably going to get rid of Morpay this week, which I know will bring jubilation to everybody watching this video. But let me switch over to the live screen and I'll go through some tinkering. Okay, so here we go. This is the team. The bench is a little bit of a worry now because Mitchell has lost his place. Lamptey's not going to play this week, but I think I just ride it out for this week because, like I say, Basuma's still playing and Lamptey is going to play most weeks. And by the way, Lamptey is so fun to watch and I really just want to keep owning him, and his fixtures are still really good after this week as well, right? If you have a quick look, Southampton, Leicester, okay, they could be tough enough, but then Fulham, Sheffield United, West Ham away, there's games I don't mind playing him in. And like I said about Reguilon as well, I think Arsenal at home, Crystal Palace away is okay. These ones are tricky, but by this point I'd hope to have another kind of spare transfer as well, so I'm not too worried about that. So this is my main thought process, right? So Kane out. I don't know whether I will get Watkins still or Bamford. The thing is, Bamford gets so many chances and Everton have given up so many chances, right? Even against Fulham, they've still conceded 2 goals. That's now 6 games in a row where they've conceded 2 or more in the league, which is absolutely ridiculous. After that is Chelsea away for Bamford, which is not ideal. But then from game week 12 onwards, the fixtures are pretty good, right? Okay, you got Man United away, but the fixtures outside of that, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, Burnley at home, West Brom away, it doesn't get much better, and I think Leeds will be really good in those games. So I'm starting to lean towards Bamford, but I might also bring in Watkins as well. So let's say I keep Son. I would go straight in for Salah if he's fit. We're going to have to wait and see what Klopp says. Look, I know he had quite a bit of time off, no training, but you'd hope if he had no symptoms and he was fine, that maybe he was trying to keep himself a bit fit. And he's a fit player anyway, right? So he should be fine. So this would be for 2 free transfers. This would also give me 2.9 million in the bank. So this allows me, not necessarily this week, but soon, to go at 12.2 million to go for Mane or Sterling. Now, I've talked about double Man City midfielders a lot recently, and I do think the fixtures not warrant, but they make it feasible, right? Burnley at home, Fulham at home, West Brom at home. And if they do really well in those fixtures, you can keep them for this run, right? This run is also really incredible. So if they do well, you keep them. If not, maybe you move them on. The other option is double Liverpool. Now, I think Brighton away, which you can't quite see, it's Brighton away, Wolves at home, and then Fulham away, which is decent, and then Spurs game week 13. So the Fulham away game is when I definitely want Salah back for, but Brighton away is also decent as well. West Brom at home, they've got in this run too. So I think double Liverpool or double Spurs are both, double Man City are both differentials and good options. So that's something I can do. And it doesn't really affect my other transfers. So Reguilon to Diaz down the line or Cancelo, and more pay to Watkins is something I could do as well. So it depends how quickly I want to do this. So I could get Mane in this week. I could get Sterling in this week, right? For a -4, I could get Salah, Bamford, and Sterling or Mane, which I'm thinking about doing. Or I keep Son for a couple more weeks and I just do more pay to Watkins. Maybe this is the week to do it, right? He's playing Liverpool. I fully expect Liverpool to get a clean sheet. He's got okay fixtures after that, but he's not been playing well. And even Danny Welbeck looks better than more pay right now. So this is what I'm currently leaning to. 3 transfers. Salah in for Rashford. Bamford and Watkins in for Kane and more pay. And then after this week, I've got the money in the bank then to do Son to whoever at some point. Now, that could be Sterling in game week 11 for the Fulham game and then waiting for the West Brom game. I could just hold Son for a couple of weeks and then get Mane in. I could just hold him, right, and just keep the money in reserve for something else. And then eventually when I got the transfer, I'll do Reguilon to Diaz or Cancelo, I think. I could go up to Robertson, who I do think still looks like a really good option. I spoke on the Game Week previews a few weeks ago about how Liverpool defence wasn't as bad as everyone was saying it would be. But I'm quite happy with the amount of money I've got in defence, so I'm probably going to hold it like that. So that's my transfer plans. Watkins, Bamford, Salah in is probably the route I'm going to go, unless something massive changes. But I could just get Sterling or Mane right now. Maybe even do the more pay move anyway and take a -8. I don't know. It would kind of reset my team, but just taking Son out for a hit right now doesn't feel right, whereas more pay for a hit is probably better. So let me know what you think about those transfer thoughts. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you think of my transfer plans. Are you finally happy that I might get rid of more pay? I'm not saying definitely, but might. And probably Salah to come back in. Jamie Vardy could come back in for Kane instead if Salah is out, but I'll worry about that down the line because I think Salah's going to be back. So that's my main priority this week. There's a few things I'd like you to do. Please do give the video a like. That would really help me out. Hit that subscribe button as well. Don't forget to download OneFootball. It's completely free and it really will support me and the channel. Give it a go. See what you think. Right, it doesn't cost anything to give it a download. Just click that link in the description below and that will take you straight through. And also, if you haven't already checked out Patreon, make sure you do. There's a link to the description below or in the description below to that as well. And everyone that signs up gets on the Patreon Legends wall. There's Slack access, WhatsApp access, all that kind of thing as well. So if you want to check that out, check out all the different tiers, make sure you click that link in the description below. And lastly, I am into the final week of Movember now. So every single day in November, much easier to say Movember than November. I have been walking 10 kilometers, so I've been tracking that on Twitter. If you've not been following me on there, handily, there's also a link to that in the description below. But I've been doing 10 kilometers a day, no beer, no alcohol at all either, and I'm into the final kind of week now, so still keeping up with it and obviously growing this ridiculous tash as well. So if you want to donate to that, there is a link to that in the description below as well. I know I've asked for a lot of stuff in this video. I really do appreciate all your support as always. Anything you can do to help me out or help Movember out to support men's health is massively appreciated. And on that note, I will leave the link spam there. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow for the game week preview and I'll catch you then. Thanks a lot, everyone.